Now we've moved over to the Platinum Series slot mortiser machine. And this is a different type of machine completely, and let me kind of explain the differences if I can to you. We did a square hole in that piece. The slot mortisers will make a round hole. They use a bit that looks like this, and it can be a straight fluted bit or it can be a spiral fluted bit. And what it produces is an oblong hole, and then you take your tenon stock and you make what is called a floating tenon or a loose tenon. Now I prefer this style of joinery just because I can cut these tenons so fast, and I don't necessarily have to have a table leg way up in the air or a table apron that I'm cutting a tenon on to do an integral tenon. Now what I really like about this type of mortising is that I can batch cut these. Now you see I've got a couple examples up here, and of course they've got those little glue slots in them to relieve the pressure, but I can batch cut these, and the way that I do that is I will mill my stock in long pieces to the correct thickness that matches my mortise bit. Once I have that milled, I'll go over to my router table, over to my disc sander, my edge sander, and just simply round over the edges just so that they match. I've even actually made these out of plywood before. But once this is batch cut, I might have a couple of sticks of this, or I might have a piece of this that's 6 or 8 feet long, and I can simply walk over to my chop saw and cut these off in incremental lengths so that they all match all the way down the piece. And that makes it really fast. Now to accomplish a slot mortise, this machine uses a 3-axis table. And what that means is that the height of this table is adjustable with this crank handle right here, and the entire table assembly will raise and lower on dovetail ways. So that's one axis. The second axis is my side-to-side movement. And you'll see that I can move side to side, and that's going to set the width of my mortise. The other direction that it moves is the in and out of what we call the plunge movement. And that's going to set the depth of the mortise into the workpiece. So the 3-axis table allows you to accomplish this very easily. Now the side-to-side movement, or the width of the mortise, is limited by this stop and these small stops right here. Now of course this one here is about a 4-inch mortise. If I want to do about a 2.5 inch, I'll simply loosen the knob, slide these in, and of course you can put a tape measure between the two, or you can actually take your tenon stock up and put it between the two, and that's going to limit the side travel. From the underneath side of the table, you can see that the limit stop for my forward and back travel is right here, and this can be positioned anywhere up and down the rail to limit the depth of the mortise. You can also see that there's plenty of cast iron down here. This is the anchor piece for the bed, and it raises and lowers on these dovetail ways right here, and this is the Acme threaded screw that makes this entire mechanism raise up and down. Once you have your height set, you'll want to lock this lock handle to secure it and to square it up to the machine. Now this machine weighs 270 pounds, so you know it's going to be a nice performer in your shop. It's going to use left-handed bits in the machine here, and it runs off of a 3-horsepower motor. Now this motor is enclosed in what we call a doghouse, and it's kind of a handy area. I call it a tool tray to put your little tenon stock, extra mortising bits, or your notepad. You can also see that the control of the machine is done by a single handle. The single handle does the in and out, the side-to-side movements, all off of this one handle, and it rides on spherical rod-end bearings to make it a very, very smooth operation. Also from this side you can see a dowel indexing device. This allows you to do doweling as well as slot mortising to make your projects perfect. Now setting this machine up for operation is a fairly straightforward deal. You want to grab a number 8 Allen wrench, and that's going to operate the chuck. You're going to grab your mortising bit, and the mortising bit on this one, of course, will take up to a 5/8 diameter. There is an Allen head right here, and if you're having trouble accessing this, you can actually pull these screws and turn the chuck by hand. This simply will go in here and lock the mortising bit into place. You want to make sure that you really snug this down quite tight. If you don't have a T-handle Allen wrench, you may want to invest in a set of T-handle Allen wrenches. But get this quite snug because this bit spins very, very fast, and they're prone to loosening if you don't tighten them up all the way. Now that we have the mortising bit in place, I can actually take my work clamp, drop that through the hole, and put the washer and the nut on through the bottom here. This is a pretty heavy-duty work clamp. Nice solid steel clamp. It goes into the cast iron table, and it's adjustable right here with this handle. And it's a 2-position clamp. You can loosen this up and remove it all the way and extend it out further forward here, moving the handle back here to lock it, and this will reach farther into your workpiece. This will hold your workpiece secure to the table while you're mortising. All right, we're going to take the workpiece in here. We'll place it up against the cast iron fence, and we'll bring the clamp down, lock that in position here. It uses a cam for an over-the-center action to lock this workpiece down. Now, of course, the machine will start over here. This is a 220-volt machine. This is a 3-horsepower motor. We'll go ahead and start it up. And the first thing we'll do is we'll do our plunge cut. We'll do a plunge cut. And then we'll do our series of side-to-side cuts. And I'll just go ahead and bring this in. Alright, let's see how we did on this one. Knock out the sawdust. Take our tenon stock. And look at that. That is a nice, perfect tenon. Now, again, for a mortise and tenon joint like this, you want to have a couple of these little slots in here. This is going to give you plenty of glue area to make a nice, strong project. Well, now you've seen here how we have two completely different styles of mortise and tenon joinery here. And we've cut the mortises on a hollow chisel mortiser for this one here, and then a slot mortiser for this. Now, when you do your ingrained for the slot mortiser, what you'll need to use is a miter gauge. And this is equipped with a 3/8 by 3/4 inch slot. Your miter gauge will drop right down here. You can lock it in place on the table, and then you can take your piece that you need to drill for the end of the tenon right here, come in here, clamp it, do your plunge, and then you'll have the other mortise for your floating tenon. So that's just two different examples. Now you'll notice on this machine here, it's great for doing lightweight mortises, for furniture and so forth like that. And when we move the table back and forth, of course, we are moving the workpiece. The next machine we're going to go over to is the heavy-duty mortiser. That's the Laguna LBM 200 machine. Let's have a look.